Hey folks, Jim Thomas here with your fitness management update. And our topic today, as you've seen, in the headline, death of a gym salesperson. And who I'm talking to today are you gym owners that have salespeople that struggle at this, and they struggle at it, and maybe they shouldn't. And also for you individuals, if you're an individual salesperson or you want to be, and you struggle at the whole idea of selling and how this works. And where this originally came from, this idea of death of a salesperson, it actually came from a client of mine that was outside the industry, but he happened to own some facilities. And he was asking questions about, why people struggle at this and why it becomes so difficult. And so what we put together was some information. I affectionately call it, death of a gym salesperson. And what I want to ask you guys to do, if you're a gym owner, think about your staff, think about your individual staff. I'm going to give you a few things here, and I could probably do a lot more, actually. And if you're a staffer, if you're an employee of a gym, you're in sales or you want to be, and maybe you're not hitting your numbers, maybe it's a little more of a struggle, and let's see if we can look at some things that can really make a difference for you. And so the first thing I want to talk about on death of a gym salesperson is the issue of prejudging. And all too often, when a customer comes in, the mistake we make is we think we know what the outcome is going to be before we even get started. And I would even tag on to this because, most folks in gyms and fitness centers, they have a great desire really to provide good service and to really help the customer. And, it's part of the reason they were hired and part of the reason they wanted to go to work for you, most likely. But the reality is that in an effort to provide good service, if we're not careful, we'll give up key steps of the sales process. And one of the secrets to really having success long-term in sales is not only our attitude toward it, but also following that process. And the opposite of this, that opposite of prejudging, is we want to treat everyone like a buyer. That's what we're trying to do. Treat everybody like a buyer. Don't prejudge it. Follow that process. So sit down and think about this. I know a lot of times when I get into training classes, I'll ask folks, hey, give an example of maybe how you prejudged and how it cost you money, or how somebody else that maybe have prejudged and how it costs them. Plus, the reality is it also costs the customer because now they don't get started and they don't get the results, that they're looking for. So number one thing is prejudging. Take a good look at that. Number two, that a lot of folks struggle with is the issue of what we call be-backs. It's the customer saying, hey, I'm going to be back. And what it causes, what it has a tendency for us to do, is we stop the process. And it's not that some won't come back. Some will. Now, not many, okay? But some do, okay? And sometimes it's actually to your detriment when they do because we kind of believe in it further. But what happens on the whole believing in be-backs is what it does, it causes us now to not follow through with the process. Maybe the customer said, well, hey, I just wanted to come in and get prices. I'll be back tomorrow. And so we don't follow, the steps. And what we need to do is make sure we stay true, to that process. Part of the job here, we talk about that be-back, that customer saying, hey, I'm going to come back. If you really kind of think about this for a second, what our job is to really bring the customer up, to our level of belief, our level of passion, our level of conviction. And too often the customer will take us down to their level. They want to think about it, they'll be back. Okay? And so the message I want to give you here on this issue of be back, the customer, you'll get some folks that'll say it, and indeed you may get some that do return, but don't let that cause you to stop going through the entire process the way it's meant to be. Okay, so believing in be-backs. Number three, on our list here today is not following a proven system. And as I mentioned just a moment or two ago, one of the secrets to this is following a proven process, following a proven, way to do this. And if you don't have one of those, you want to get one. I mean, we use the philosophy of a GETAP. We use the greeting, the evaluation, the tour, the analysis, and the price presentation. Because if you have a proven process, when, not if, but when, a salesperson falls into a slump, which they will, it's kind of normal. But when you're following a process, you can start working those steps, and many times you can see where they're missing. And where we fix this and you're kind of good again. If they're just out there winging it, it's really hard for you and it's hard for them to really understand, hey, where is that mistake being made? And then ultimately, I would even say this for you as that owner or the manager or director, the better you can have processes in place and the more you can manage this process, it's going to make it easier for you too. Because it can be very frustrating, trying to manage all the little idiosyncrasies of each salesperson and kind of that phrase, well, here's how I do it. And what you want to have is a process really that everyone does, and they can certainly put their personalities into that, but you want to follow a proven program. So if you don't have one of those, you want to get one. And that can start to make a big difference for you, because if we just follow it, you'll probably have success. And and one of the things that that happens within this is there's a certain component to all of this that is going to require us to step outside our comfort zone. And one of the secrets to doing this as we go through each of these steps is memorize this. Whatever we're putting into place, memorize how it should work. And the reason that we ask, each employee to memorize this is so now you're free to be yourself. It's kind of like an actor on stage or a musician on stage. Hey, you memorize your lines, you memorize the words to the song, you memorize this, so now you're free to be yourself. Because part of this presentation, a big part of this presentation is you and who you are. And so we have to memorize the material. And so we just have to take the time to be able to do that. Now, next is the failure to ask for the sale. I think most would probably recognize this, I think. I think, from what I see, in working with folks, the vast majority of customers, we do not ask for the sale. We simply just put it out there and kind of hope for the best. And for those that think they're asking for the sale, they're saying things like, well, hey, what do you think? Well, how does that sound? Where do you have any questions? And really, we need to ask the customer to buy. And this is crucial. I mean, if you do nothing else, I mean, that's the thing you have to do right there. We have to ask the customer to buy. And I think certainly it's absolutely the case that for most everybody, certainly new folks, this is the most difficult part of this process, is asking the customer to buy. But one of the things you want to come to understand, this is, asking to buy, that's the close, right? The close is more for the customer than it is for you. One of the ways to get around this, if you will, is don't be thinking about this. You're asking them to buy because you want the sale. Ask them to buy because this is how they're going to get the results they came in for. Because so much of this it ties back to how we think and how we understand this and how we are sold on this ourselves in terms of how we can ask the customer. And a little sidebar on this. One of the things that I teach, frequently when it comes to, asking the customer to buy, because I recognize this is a difficult thing for most, and even the veterans sometimes will fall into a slump on this, is I like the simple choice close. I like to have 2 different memberships, and depending on what your club likes to do, you might have a 12-month program, might have a 24-month, or it could be something else. It really doesn't matter. But Mary, we have program A, and here's how this sets up. And Mary, we have program B, and here's how this sets up. And Mary, both these programs are going to help you get the results that you're looking for. Both these programs are going to help you, get off medication. Mary, of the 2, which one's going to suit your needs the best? And it's a very simple way to ask for the sale, very simple way, hopefully for the customer to pick one and go ahead and get started. But there's one. And so if we're not asking at all, there's a great way to get one. And then once we get to that point, we can take that to that next step. So we want to be able to ask for the sale. Now, the next thing that can really cause, failure, death of a salesperson, is that failure to be agreeable in this process. One of the things that I see frequently is all too often is we almost try to prove the customer wrong. Oh, no, you got it all wrong. Here's how it works. Or we try to sell from a standpoint of being disagreeable. One of the things that you'll find is that when you agree with somebody, it draws them in. It draws them into you. Hey, Mary, Mary says, hey, I want to give this some thought and kind of get back with you. Hey, Mary, I understand. A lot of our members want to think about this, before they get started. You can be agreeable, but then get back on process. Get back on process. Okay, Mary says they want to talk to their spouse. Mary, I understand. A lot of our members, want to talk to their spouse before they get started. So learn how to be agreeable. And I would even suggest, I'm talking about kind of the sales process right here, but learn to do that in everything that we do. Again, when you are agreeable with folks, it's going to draw them into you. It's going to be an easier way to help navigate through this, and hopefully to help them get the results you're looking for, and help you get that membership sale. Now, the next one is an interesting one that we have put on here because we start to see more and more of this, and it's the issue of honesty. And I'm not talking about honesty with the customer, even though we want you to be honest with the customer. We're not talking about honesty with the company, and we certainly want that. What we're looking for here, what I'm looking for here, and suggesting for each of you is honesty with yourself. And so if you're a salesperson or you have salespeople that work for you, are we being honest with ourselves? Too often I hear folks say, well, Jim, I'm doing everything you said. I memorized it. I'm doing this. And wow, nothing's working. And I remember I had somebody that was having some challenges, kind of booking appointments and things like that. And she said, well, Jim, I'm doing everything you said exactly the way you said it. And I said, great. Okay. Would you mind role playing with me? Let's just see kind of where this is and, where is the hiccup in here? What's causing this? Because it should be simple. We're not trying to make it hard. And we went through it, and she was doing nothing that I had talked about. And we got done. I said, well, hey, I don't recall saying any of those words. And so let's be honest with ourselves on this. And this is a difficult thing to do sometimes. We want to try to justify that we're doing these things, but really look at it and be honest. And if you're that owner, that manager, that director, look at this and help your staff understand, some of this. And now the last one here on my list, and like I say, we could probably go on and on some of these things, but it's the issue of accountability. One of the things that I see too often is, staff starts to say, oh, well, it's that time of the year. Well, given the current circumstances, hey, no one's going to buy, or our prices are too high. Well, they didn't come in to join anyway. Well, they just want to try it out. Well, they were just getting prices and taking them home so they could discuss with the family. Or, we're not doing enough marketing, or this marketing doesn't work. And see, none of those things do you have control over. What you have control over is you, how you choose to think, how you choose to behave. In other words, are you sold on this yourself? Do you honestly believe you can get the customer the results you're looking for? Do you honestly believe you have the best facility? Do you honestly believe now's the best time, to get started? Okay. The only thing you can control is you. This is why it's so important. Because, at the end of the day, when you think about this, it matters more how you think than it does how the customer thinks. Because, it's been said over and over and over, what is selling? It's a transfer of enthusiasm, I mentioned earlier, a transfer of belief, a transfer of conviction. Choose to be accountable. If it is to be, it's up to me. Make that the mantra. Don't excuse this away. Oh, it's that time of the year. Oh, it's the prices. Oh, it's the competition. No, make it about you, because you can change you. And I can promise you, if you take these things we're talking about right here, and if you're having some difficulty in there, you fix some of these, you'll see an incredible difference. That same person that may have walked in last week, they walk in this week, you make some of these changes, not only will you get them signed up and will you have the sale, but you're also, helping that customer on a nice long path to getting the results and the fitness and the health, that they're looking for. Now, if you feel like you need some additional help with this, we've got a link in the comment box below for a free strategy session. It's 45 minutes. No cost, no obligation. Happy to hop on a call with you and walk through some of this. If you have comments, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your things that are death of a gym salesperson? What do you see that causes people to really struggle or even fail at this? Or even comments on what I brought up here. Do you see some of these same things? My name's Jim Thomas. My company's Fitness Management and Consulting. And hey, if you enjoy the content that we bring to you, if we enjoy the trainings that we bring to you, not only today, but I think we have well over 500 videos with additional sales and management and business training, on this site. Consider subscribing to us. It helps us grow our network and grow our business. And we look forward to chatting with you guys real soon. Thank you.